Hi folks, Jason Webster here. Welcome to this episode of InsidePTI. Hey, today we're going to talk about non-GMO and organic corn. It's been a very popular request here at the PTI farm to test and compare GMO corn to that of organic and non-GMO corn. And I just kind of smile a little bit when I look at our top 10 list of things that agronomic practices that made us the most money on a per acre basis this past year. Non-GMO and organic, when you average the two together, came up number 3 on our top 10 list with additional profits of nearly $115 extra on a per acre basis. So let's talk about this. Let's dive into organic corn first, because I think it's the harder of the two. Organic corn, it's corn grown without using any chemicals or non-organic materials. And we're talking, how are we going to fertilize this crop and how are we going to keep weeds out of it in an organic fashion? This was a definite concern of mine when we were asked to bring organic corn here to the farm. And people do ask me, so Jason, why are you testing organic corn? I mean, other than the fact that farmers have specifically asked us to do it, I think the real reason we're doing it is because if we go to the supermarket and we see consumers that want to buy organic food because they think it's healthier, and I don't care, I'm not going to take a stance on whether in my mind it's healthier or not. All I know is this, that if there's consumers that are willing to pay a higher price for organic products, then as a farmer, I say to myself, well, how can I grow that organic corn and potentially make a higher profit on a per acre basis rather than growing just regular commercial corn? So that's the real reason we have it here, and that's what we're trying to learn from this and be better in the field. I look at total U.S. organic sales and growth, and it just keeps getting higher and higher each and every year. So I do think there's some demand for it. It's just a matter of whether in every geographic area there's a market for it, and we're just trying to understand the agronomics, and then hopefully we'll be able to do this and have a market to capture premiums for the organic side of things. All right, so how are we going to do this? When we think of organic corn, we got to think fertility. How are we going to put nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium on? Those are fairly easy with a commercial program. What about disease control? In a commercial program, a commercial GMO program, fungicides are part of the package, I guess, if you will, for our management program. How are we going to do that with organics? And then probably the thing I worry about the most is weed control. How are we going to keep weeds out of organic corn because we can't spray normal traditional herbicides that we've been used to in the past? Well, let's talk fertility first. I mean, one of the things we're going to do is, foundationally is we're going to put chicken litter down. I look at chicken litter as just a rich fertilizer source, but it also has biology in it that I think is pretty attractive, especially in an organic program. So we'll start with this foundationally. This will give us a little bit of nitrogen, a fair amount of phosphorus, a little bit of potassium. We are using other products though as well. We're going to hog producers, and I think this finite product that we're bringing in is really interesting. Going to hog producers, going into lagoons and taking the liquid product, drying it, and they make a granule fertilizer out of it. It's a 𝗤𝗏, just a beautiful product to spread. They really got something here that I think might be a nice fit for organic, especially for a little bit of nitrogen and a little bit of phosphorus. We're applying the finite post. We're not putting it on, on top as a blanket application before the season starts. We're doing it once the corn comes up in that V5, V6 growth stage. We're blowing it on with our Miller End Place Max. We've got a dry system and air system where we can band it right over the row, or right at the bottom of the plant, right in between the plants. Let's talk about disease pressure. I mean, I mentioned that it is a big part of our GMO program. We've used products like 𝗏𝘀 in the past. This is interesting to me. It's made with ethanol, and we all know where ethanol comes from. And so I think this has been an interesting product to look at in the past. Here's our protocols, and I just put all three of them up here on the screen for you. You can see our GMO program, how, we're putting, the tillage program we're utilizing, and then DAP and potash traditionally for P and K. It shows how much nitrogen we're putting on, the herbicide program, the traded seed, and then the fungicide program. That's our basic GMO program. Then we kind of step it down. We say, okay, let's go to a non-GMO program. And I'll be very honest with you folks, this has been super easy. It's much easier than organics, because really all I'm doing with non-GMO is buying a corn hybrid that is non-GMO. And then on the herbicide side, I take out the Roundup or the Liberty. That's it. The rest of the program qualifies for non-GMO. And listen, Roundup and Liberty, especially Roundup, Roundup's not going to control water hemp, and that's my main weed problem. So in non-GMO, taking the Roundup out is just super simple. There on the right side of the screen, you see my organic program. And I will be honest again, I don't know how to feed an organic crop. This is fairly new to us. We've only had this on the farm for 3 years. And I think what's been happening over time, the 3 years, is I don't know how to feed it. So I'm just putting just a ton of stuff in my protocol, a ton of products, and I'm over applying. And we're just trying to figure out what products will get the job done. And then we can lean up, if you will, by only putting those products on that are going to give us the biggest bang for our buck. So I will admit I'm over applying, but we're trying to understand which of these products work the best. Here's a list of some of our sponsors that we've worked with, companies that have products for either non-GMO or the organic programs. It's been fun working with some of these companies. The bottom three on the graph, those are our weed control companies. All the others would be either seed or fertilizer treatments in the field. So I will say this, as far as fertility treatments in organic, it's going to, we mentioned chicken litter first, but the planter is a pretty big part of this program. We do want to set that foundation, build it around that organic seed that we're placing in the trench. And so conceal typically works out very well, especially high volume. We can go 3 inches away from where that organic seed is in the trench, be safe with it, but yet close enough as those roots start growing at a 35-degree angle, it's finding new placements of nutrition. We're going to continue feeding the crop through side dress. This is our high clearance rig set up with easy drops, my preferred way of side dressing here at the farm, and continuing to find products that are approved organically to side dress and spoon feed that crop through the season. Here's yield. And so if we look at, we brought in a Ŵyffels corn hybrid as our GMO corn. We swap hybrids, go to a non-GMO, change our herbicide program. That non-GMO corn lost about 7.8 bushel on a per acre basis compared to the GMO. We go to organic, we put a whole new program in, we put a whole new organic corn in that protocol mix, and we lost 30.4 bushel in the organic, again, compared to the GMO. You may look at this data and say, well, I don't know how thrilled I am to move away from GMO platforms to go to non-GMO organic if my corn yield is going to go down. But as we always say at the PTI farm, this only is about yield. It doesn't tell the true story. We've got to put cost in, and we've got to put premiums in. One of the reasons we're interested in non-GMO and organic corn is because of the additional premium we can get when we sell that crop. When we look at economics, this is where the whole thing changes, and this, quite honestly, is where the GMO platform just flat out got beat. In a non-GMO scenario, you were using a 25-cent premium for this corn, even though it lost 7.5 or 8 bushel to the acre. We're coming in with net economic gains of over $90 an acre, just huge numbers. And if I had a non-GMO program locally, close to me, I think I'd probably put all my acres into a non-GMO corn program because I think it's easy. We already talked about it, removing the Roundup and the Liberty from the program and buying non-GMO seed. That's simple. It works. It was easy for me to do. Organic's a little tougher, but if you look at the numbers here, that was my big winner. I made over $130 more on a per acre basis than I did with my GMO program. So you're trying to challenge the status quo, comparing to what we've been doing commercially with GMO corn, thinking outside the box, going organically, even though I admitted that I over-applied certain products, I'm still making over $130 net with the organic program, and that's using $8 corn. So basically, how do you take $4 corn and double it to get $8? It's in an organic program. The weed control, I mentioned that this was what I was most scared about. I didn't know how we were going to control weeds. We've tried a couple different concepts here at the farm with Trefler tiners and things like that. This year we did something different. We came in and partnered up with Carbon Robotics to bring a laser weeder in, and I think this technology is just so neat. This laser weeder is using AI. It's got cameras to identify small weeds as they're just coming up out of the ground. It will identify what's a weed and what is the crop in the field, because we don't want to damage the crop. But then this laser weeder uses lasers to actually destroy the weeds in the field. And so here's a close-up shot of what the small unit, we just had a 2-row unit here at the farm this year. Obviously, to be practical and sustainable, this would have to be a larger unit, but we wanted to test the concept of whether this laser weeder could find the weeds in the field and then effectively destroy them. And I will tell you, this thing just worked fantastic in the field. If you look close enough on the video, you can see the fire, if you will. You can see the lasers coming in and actually destroying the weeds, and you can just see the little puff of smoke. It knows what crop, in this case it's soybeans, but it knows what crop is there. It'll leave it alone and it'll just attack those small weeds just coming up. It worked just tremendous. We also teamed up with 𝗏𝘃𝗏𝘃 flamers. We've got a weed flamer that we use this year, burning propane in the field. This is technology that's been around for a long time. Seed corn companies have used this to delay male and females, but we came in and used it post to use heat to destroy weeds. And here you can see a video of the flamer going through the field. It was hot, and it's one of the things we need to do is learn what type of temperature we need to effectively kill weeds without injuring the crop at the same time. I think hoods, banders, I think we need to probably do a little bit of work with that, but it did kill the weeds that were in the field. I will give the flamer that. We also brought in a 𝗓𝘃𝘀𝗶𝗱𝗃 row crop cultivator. This would be our second year with the 𝗓𝘃𝘀𝗃𝗃 row crop cultivator. This is an interesting cultivator because it's got cameras on this cultivator, and it will keep the cultivator right on that row. I remember as a kid running a row crop cultivator, and if I'd get off the row a little bit, I'd wipe out the crop and cause that damage with that lightning strike. But these cameras keep this cultivator right on the row because we want to be able to throw as much dirt over the row to cover up any weeds without getting so close where we're pruning the crop. So the cameras work with the cultivator, and we can move this unit 20 inches on either side to continue moving that cultivator and being very, very accurate as we're row crop cultivating and removing weeds. And it worked very well. We kind of separated yield with all these different concepts of weed control, and we used as our control the old typical ways that we had to control weeds without, you know, the new laser technology. And we said a flamer and a cultivator are some of the oldest technologies we have, so we'll use that as our status quo. That corn came in at 219.9 bushel. We then said, okay, let's go in and bring a laser weeder in 2 passes early in the season to control those early season weeds, and then come in with a 1-pass flamer once the corn gets up to that V5, V6 growth stage. We picked up about 7 bushel when we did that technique for weed control. The 2 that did the best for us, though, was the 2-pass laser weeder with the 𝗓𝘃𝘀𝗏𝗃 post, and then simply just 2 passes of the laser weeder by itself. Those 2 applications gave us over 20 bushel gains over just using the traditional flamer and hoe. Those are some big numbers in an organic program where you're getting $8 a bushel for this corn. That it really gets my attention and gets me excited about how to handle weeds in organic corn. When you put the economics, of course, you know, bringing a laser weeder in, there's some cost to this, more cost than we've ever seen before in an organic program. But that laser weeder, still with the extra cost, with the yield gains we had from it, it picked up another $54.40 per acre over the traditional methods of just flaming and cultivating like we have in the past. So we're going to continue to monitor the economics of this, but the laser weeder, in my mind, if we could make 2 passes early in the season, it was a very effective way to control weeds. With the cultivator, the one thing we have to worry about is if we cultivate, move that soil. With the sweeps, if we get an inch of rain after we do that application, we can get a flush of weeds coming pretty quick. So that would probably be the only advantage there. Maybe if you had a system that was getting too close to the row, pruning roots might be another thing to be concerned about. The flamer, the thing with it is just crop injury, getting it too hot. And so we're learning how to do that. But all in, all out, I think the lowest amount of crop injury came from the laser weeder. Did an exceptional job of controlling weeds, and we did have the highest yield from it and the highest return on a per acre basis. So there you have it. It just goes to show you, if you've got some markets available, whether it's non-GMO or whether it's organic, if we can manage this thing properly, there are some big gains and returns to be had from those types of platforms. That's all the time we have for today. We thank you for joining us on this episode of Inside PTI.